You watch a film. Are the receivers open and Kenny's missing them a lot of plays?
Oh, there's no question that he's, I showed you a play up during commercial break, right, where he got the ball in shotgun, 4-man rush, and Najee was sidecar to the left, and he shot out to the, out
Flat.
to the left, and there was a great concept where Allen Robinson went to the flat, and in a little dig route by George Pickens, wide open. The passing lane was right there. The window was open, and he didn't even look over there. He didn't even look over there, right? He looked over.
I like that song, Hokie.
I don't know what happened. How did that just turn on like that?
I don't know.
A song, George Pickens. Siri's listened to me. It just started playing a song called George Pickens.
Oh,
unbelievable. Man. I'm on Vibrate too. So anyways, but the window was wide open. And he tossed it out to the left. Didn't even look at George Pickens. Didn't even look at that passing concept. That's why I have a struggle when you guys, but not you guys, Steeler Nation complains about Matt Canada. Because there are passing routes and things that are taking place and concepts, and Kenny's not even looking at them. Or when he throws them, he's not connecting.
So Canada isn't as bad as people think he is?
I don't think he is. I do not think he – now, I'm not going to sit up here and say he's an elite offensive coordinator. I mean, he's not Kyle Shanahan, right? We know that, right? And there's other guys out there. But I think that he's not as bad as everybody says. I always think about what Coach Cowher said. You're not as good as you think you are. You're not as bad as they say you are.
Well, it's not just fans saying it. It's people who played the game.
Oh,
like
sure,
you,
too. But
like
it's
you
an
who
easy.
Also watch film who say it. And we're now through 3 quarterbacks, and his offense stinks through 3. He doesn't have a single 400-yard game. I think everybody understands Kenny hasn't been – he's been missing receivers. You get a little deeper into it by saying he's not even throwing to open guys. But we're now on 3 quarterbacks where this has been the worst Steelers offense that a lot of us have ever seen.
Maybe the problem is not play calling. Maybe the problem is are you able to connect with your players? Are you able to communicate?
Maybe.
Are you able to teach? Because a coach is a teacher. All I know is this: when Coach John Mitchell, he had a lot of great defensive linemen play for him. I was on the bottom of the pot. I mean, I was one of the ones at the bottom of the list, but a lot of great players. He taught technique. He was able to teach us. He was able to communicate and get it into our noggins. And sometimes as a coach, that might be a problem. Maybe he's not able to communicate and teach his offense, and so it's not translating from the classroom to the football field. I mean, what did Coach Tomlin talk about this week? Procedure.
Yeah.
It was about procedure. To me, what he was saying, that was code for, like, these guys aren't taking what's in the classroom to the field.
We see it with the whole Justin Fields thing. I see it, from whatever, youth leagues on up, that I think players, athletes crave knowledge, teaching on technique. Yeah. Show me how to win. It's easy just to get flustered and yell at your players. Tell me what to do.
Well, listen, let me tell you something. You talk about those teams in the 2000s that I was a part of, 2008 defense. Coach LeBeau, the defensive coordinator. John Mitchell, D-line coach. Keith Butler was a heck of a ball coach, linebacker coach. Was Ray Horton. I think Ray Horton was a DB coach at the time. That guy went on to be – those were coaches now. They knew how to teach. They know how to communicate, and they knew how to get their kids, their players to understand. So is that the problem? Is the problem maybe the connection between what Matt Canada's teaching in the classroom? Is it not registering in the head of Kenny Pickett? I don't know. Listen, I don't have any information. I'm just telling you, when I hear procedure and I see guys open, is there a disconnect there in terms of teaching and receiving?
Well, that's been a knock on Tomlin, that he hasn't hired the best of coaches. That's been a knock against him for quite a while.
That has been. I mean, there's been a lot of.
Are you seeing some evidence of that overall?
I don't know. Listen, I would never come out and say that. I don't know if that's it. That's it. I just think that. Again, I don't want to get into that and saying he's hiring the wrong guys. But what I'm saying is, if I'm seeing guys open, and Kenny's not seeing those guys, and he's not able to find those windows, and he's not able to throw the ball in the places they need to go, is there a problem in terms – and then Coach Tomlin talks about procedure. Is there a problem with the teaching and receiving?
Communication.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, there are always questions out there, and it was raised again this week by Doug Whaley, who's on with us, about how Canada and the other coaches, about whether he's receptive to their input, about all that kind of thing. When Dick LeBeau would put in a defensive game plan, tell us about the procedure of how much he was listening to you guys and your input, how much He would welcome other coaches. What was the procedure before he delivered the final product to you guys?
Well, I have kind of a unique perspective because I was an intern for the Steelers after I retired. For 2 training camps, I went and did an internship, and I was part of all the coaches' meetings. And I remember, when you come back from training camp from Latrobe and you go down to the South Side, you have that week where that's almost like a mock game, right? Mock week. And I remember going into that twice, both years, in the meeting where it was the defensive staff. I was in there with them and Coach Tomlin, and they were talking through the game plan. And because the coaches would start telling them things, and Coach LeBeau had this mind, his memory. He was able to remember everything. And they would say, "Oh, they run this concept. Okay, so if they run that concept, they're going to run this concept. Oh yeah, and then the coach, they're going to run this. Okay, so if they run this, they're going to run that." And everybody was like a collaboration. But it was unbelievable, and absolutely he listened to the coaches. There's no question about it. Good coaches listen to those coaches around him because they all have experience and perspectives that can help for the greater good. He would listen absolutely to Troy Polamalu. He'd listen to Casey Hampton. He'd listen to James Ferrier. He trusted the players. And so there was a great communication between Coach LeBeau and the players, and he was a great communicator. The one thing, Coach LeBeau is a great speaker, orator. You know that. I mean, he taught really well, and so we knew when we took the field what we were doing. We knew where we fit, and he said, "Listen," he goes, "let me just be your eyes, and let me communicate these." And he would communicate to us what we need to do, and we responded.
That's a great question by Joe, because one thing I've heard is Canada doesn't play nice with his assistant coaches. We saw a couple of them leave because of him. At least 2 years ago, the offensive line coach quit in like December and left. And I heard that was directly because he didn't like working with Canada.
Yeah, and that could be the issue.
I'm sure you've heard that too, whether it's true or not, right?
Listen, there is a struggle there at times where, you heard the same thing about Todd Haley, right? Some guys just don't like feedback. They think they know it all. And could Canada be that guy? Maybe, right? But I think the best coordinators and the best coaches are the ones that listen to their coaches. That's why you have them, right? Because the best game plan is when everybody's able to put in their input and you put together the best approach, because everybody has unique experiences and they've played against that offense. They've played against that scheme, against that concept. This is how we attack. This is how we attacked it. You put together this amazing game plan. But if you're not listening to everybody, you're only looking at it through one lens.